Magic 8 Ball, will there be a lot of confusion on my upcoming Alaska cruise? All signs point to yes. Okay, so I'm going on an Alaska cruise on the 12th of September. And man, things cannot get more confusing. They really can't. Remember, we just had the CDC come out with more suggestions and testing and things like that. And we said, you know what? It's okay. Because the cruise lines were already requiring people to have their test, right? You had to have that antigen test or a PCR test 3 days in advance of your cruise. If you're fully vaccinated, etc. And if you're unvaccinated, you can't go on the cruise. In a lot of cases, well, you know what? I'm fully vaccinated. I have my proof of vaccine. I have a test scheduled 3 days before my cruise. I'm good to go, right? I'm good to go. Not so fast, not so fast, they said. Not so fast, Don. And so let me just take a look. I'm going to go to the Princess website right here, and this is the current website. I just did a video on this. And it says, COVID testing requirements for cruises all the way through October 31st of 2021. My cruise is in September. This is in there. Easy, right? We will also require all fully vaccinated guests to produce a negative medically observed COVID-19 test, PCR or antigen taken within 3 days of embarkation on all Princess sailings. Boom. Pretty straightforward, right? At least that's what we thought. Because now the CDC has updated their website, and when you look into it a little closer, here's the screening testing of all embarking and disembarking passengers for restricted voyages. Now quickly, before I tell you what the CDC's new recommendations are and why it's conflicting with what Princess is saying, just let me invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Really does help the channel. You'll be up to date with all the news stories, the cruising news, cruise vlogs, ship inspections, room tours, hotel suggestions, etc., and just be... It doesn't cost anything, really does help the channel out, and I would be so appreciative. Here we go. Pre-embarkation testing. Non-fully vaccinated passengers have to produce an NAAT test no more than 3 days before boarding. That's for non-vaccinated, but I'm fully vaccinated. Fully vaccinated passengers, you can produce a viral NAAT test or the antigen test. There we go, right? The one we need 3 days beforehand. No more than 2 days before boarding. Or a viral test on embarkation day. Princess isn't doing tests at the cruise port, from what we know. So, what? So on Princess now they say 3 days. The recommendations for the CDC is now 2 days, and they just updated. So here's my question. Is Princess going to follow this regulation? They've been following all the other regulations so far. They have been following that conditional sail order. So are they going to change in the next 10 days the requirement to have my test within 2 days as opposed to within 3 days? Because I'm sailing on a Sunday, and now that school has started up here and the travel for the summer is starting to disappear, a lot of our testing sites stop working after this weekend coming up. Not the weekend I'm traveling, this weekend, where they're only going to be open 1 to 2 days a week for testing for people traveling. Great. Most people travel for destinations for Friday and Saturday. So they're going to be open Wednesday and Thursday in a lot of cases for people getting ready to travel on Friday and Saturday. Perfect. Except my cruise is on Sunday, which means my test on Thursday would not be good anymore if they moved to the 2-day schedule. What? Which means I have to now try and figure out if I'm going to need to get a test when I arrive in Seattle. And it's not the easiest thing in the world. A lot of people, oh, just go to the pharmacy, just do that. Yeah, you can if you're an American citizen. If you're a non-American citizen, it's much harder to find a location to do this, especially at the last minute, because right now I'm hoping that my test that I take on the Thursday is good enough for my travel. And my luck, the way my luck has been going lately with all my cruises, the one I got stuck in Fort Lauderdale because they lost my test. My next cruise was canceled because they changed the testing policy at Carnival for the Mardi Gras. And now my 2 cruises to Alaska might be in jeopardy because one website says one thing, the other says the other, and you have to wonder, have they just not caught up with each other? Are they just behind, or is Princess not going to follow this recommendation? It seems like it's getting harder and harder and harder for a simple cruise. So there you go. I have to let my buddy Tony know this as well, because if he scheduled his test 3 days in advance, we might both be trying to schedule COVID tests once we get to Seattle. So instead of touring Seattle and going to the Needle and places like that, and having fun and touring the seaboard and walking down the boardwalk, we get to try and find a place to get a COVID test and do that after landing sometime in the afternoon in Seattle the day before our cruise. Doesn't that sound like something we really want to do? Please, Princess, do not update your website between now and my cruise. You only have 2 cruises left. From my cruise, you have a cruise this week coming up. So you have 3 cruises left. Just leave them alone and start after that if you want. Or start on October 31st, where you currently have your restrictions currently ending. Because if people have to get a test 2 days in advance, and most people fly in the day before at least, or sometimes in some cases more than 2 days in advance because of the amount of distance it needs to travel, you're going to have to start providing tests at the cruise port. You cannot put this burden on your passengers. It's okay to try to test, to ask us to pay for it. That's not the issue. The issue is us trying to find a place, especially if you're not coming from the cruise port that, I'm not leaving from Seattle. I don't live in Seattle. So if I'm traveling, I need it to be as easy as possible. And if it's within 2 days, that really restricts the amount of time you can travel and get everything done in time. And I don't think it's fair to put that burden on the cruise passenger. 3 days is hard enough. 2 days, you might as well just test everybody at the port and start saying, we're going to leave a little bit later because it's going to take that long to test everybody. I know it's expensive. You can charge us, at least as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people out there would say, no, I don't want to be charged, but you're paying for a test anyway right now, so why not pay for it at the cruise port? Nothing in life is ever that easy. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world and see if I actually get on this cruise ship in just 10 days. Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.